Good evening, and you're welcome to another exclusive interview powered by Newsband Television. Now, today we are going to continue the discussion on Nigeria 2023, rotational presidency, and the future of Nigeria's democracy. Now, I guess today we have Mark Jacobs. He's a member, Southern and Middle Belt Alliance. We also have Kabiru Mohammed Gwangwazo, the publisher, the Pyramid newspaper online. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Now, what do you think about the idea of rotational presidency? I'm asking Mark Jacobs, what do you think about the idea of rotational presidency?
Well, I'll start with saying it's a constitutional matter, and it's been adopted by all spheres of society in Nigeria as a norm, as a mode of operating politics, in a way that all sections of Nigeria get a sense of belonging. The federal character principle enshrined in our constitution gave birth to that rotational practice. And over the years, it has been respected and abided by, respected by all persons involved in politics. And it's a good thing if properly followed. There is no reason why one section of any of the country should assume that it has monopoly of all the good hands, while the other sides do not have the good hands to run the country. It is
Hello.
As I said from the onset, this constitution. Hello?
Please go ahead. We can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I was just repeating that the principle of rotation of the presidential seat of Nigeria's government is a constitutionally recognized practice. It is something that political parties over the years have adopted and practiced, and it should be continued as long as we want this country to remain one indivisible nation. In fact, that should be the underlying principle that will give assurance. We are aware that there are several people who come up once in a while to say that the principle is unnecessary, that we should just look for a qualified Nigerian from any part of the country and make him president. Be that as it may be correct, but we have already started it, and we have already commenced implementation, wherein we make one party, and it has always been between the North and the South. I am a firm believer in that principle, because Nigeria is as complete, as presently constituted, can only survive when we allow equity and good conscience to guide our activities. Any situation or any attempt to make one section of the country to be shortchanged or to feel unwanted will not give us peace. And I think, judging from the frayed nerves in the country, judging from the tensions in the country, the things that government likes to use secessionist movements or activism, I prefer to say that people are asking for self-actualization and respect within the contraption called Nigeria. In order to contain and maintain these nerves and keep us level-headed and peaceful, we must continue to respect this principle of rotational presidency. I am a firm believer, and I subscribe to it.
All right, thank you so much. Let us hear from our second guest, Mr. Gwangwazo. Are you able to join now?
Yes, I am. Good evening, gents and ma'am.
All right, we can hear you. Kindly move the phone away from your face.
I will try. I'm trying to settle down where I am now. A moment.
Okay, while we're waiting for him, let us go back to Mark Jacobs. Mr. Mark Jacobs, it's common knowledge that the current administration used zoning as part of their strategy in 2015. Why then do you think the North is vehemently against the idea of rotational presidency?
Personally, I'm not surprised that certain elements in the North do not subscribe to the shifting of the presidency to the South presently, because it's in the nature of some people to believe they continuously insist that they are the only ones qualified to rule. And it is a thing that Nigerians must shout against. There is no reason why anybody in this Nigeria, the country we call Nigeria, should think that the best or the only strength of leadership can only come from the North. It's a wrong assumption, and it should be condemned. The Northern elements, and I'm sure it's not every Northerner that is saying that they are not subscribing to the shift of power to the South. No, I've seen so many of them saying, yeah, power should shift to the South. And I'm one of them. I believe strongly that the few that are saying that power should not shift to the South are saying so largely out of misunderstanding, misconception of the principle, and then some jaundiced opinion of trying to keep power to themselves, not really because of performance, because if we are going to talk about performance, the best 11 that was put forward by the North since 2015 has failed. And so basically, there is sufficient justification for power to shift to the South come 2023.
But do you think that the North but that the South is ready to take power?
Power is and can be taken by anybody. Honestly, the South is over-prepared. I have gone around the country on several assignments, and I know, and I also know personally that there are many qualified persons from the South that can be president, that can be United Nations leaders. We have people of high standing from all parts of the South that can be president. And particularly now that we need to balance the inequities, the frayed nerves in the country, this is the right time to cede power to the South so that they'll be calm. Look, most of the agitations we are getting either from the Bohos, the Nnamdi Kanus and others, they're all born out of this feeling that, look, since 2015, a certain section of the country has been left out of governance and has been shortchanged and have been balkanized. If we want to continue to be one Nigeria, that is sufficient reason why power should shift to the South. So that from the onset, nerves are calmed, people are reassured that there is no ganging up against a particular section of the country, that there is no deliberate attempt to balkanize a certain section of the country and make them look like visitors or strangers to the federation, which is what many people feel now in the South. And like I've said, I have a number of well-qualified Nigerians from the South that have what it takes to lead Nigeria out of the current woods. We have a lot of problems that are bedeviling this country currently, economically, socially, security-wise, and so on. I believe that having tried the best from the North, this is the right time to try another person from the South. And I know there are many qualified, eminently qualified Southerners that should do this work.
Okay, while we are still waiting for our second guest to join us, Mr. Gwangwazo, so when you're ready, just send me a message in the chat box to indicate you are ready and would ask for your own opinions. Now, Mr. Jacobs, will you say that zoning is actually legal and democratic?
Well, you may not find exact words saying zoning, but the federal character principles that were followed in this country are enshrined in the Constitution. They are part and parcel of the Constitution. And since we have accepted that the Constitution is the ground norm, is the highest law of the land, there is no reason, there is no better way of finding justification for zoning. Zoning actually is a rider, is derived from the federal character principle. And as contained in the Constitution, we even have a federal character commission. Now, when you have a federal character commission that is established by the law, by a constitution, to appropriate and aggregate positions at the federal level between states and between zones, there is justification for zoning. And that makes sure, that is just to make sure that all parts of the country, all persons and all people feel welcome to the federation known as Nigeria. And having found that in the Constitution, we can say that yes, zoning is constitutional.
Okay, and now talking about the argument against zoning, one of the trending arguments is that the rotational presidency is not, the rotational president allows power to be served on a platter, and power should not be served on a platter. Another argument is that it pushes capacity and other virtues of a leader to the back seat. So what do you think about if political parties adopt rotational presidency but promotes proven leaders with track records? Don't you think that this will solve the problem of whether or not rotational presidency should be allowed?
Well, just as I said earlier.
Hello, sir. Did you get my question?
I got you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, what I'm saying is that this argument currently is coming up in 2021. But from 1999, nobody, and I repeat, nobody, particularly the beneficiaries of the principle, have objected to its application. So the question is, why today? Why is it that in 2015, for instance, all the people that are queued up screaming against the principle, why were they in support of it in 2015? And if we are very sincere to ourselves, we know that the people shouting against zoning or federal character principle today have benefited from it more than any other person. And so what is good for the goose is good for the gander. And when you say that the presidency or position should be made available to those who are qualified, it is simple. The big contraption known as Nigeria, if you throw it open to everybody, you know that you have trillions of people contesting. So a large form of screening takes place when you say, okay, let's limit our search for the best to a certain section, so that, yes, it is open, but let the best from a certain section come and judge for the position. That way, you can be sure that, yes, you have taken care of two things. You have taken care of the feelings of marginalization, and you have also taken care of the principle of getting the best out of the best within that environment. That way, you have no problems at all, because you would have gotten the best from a contraption, a smaller section of the country, instead of opening it up to every other person. We have continuously practiced this, and nobody has objected to it. It's ironical that those who benefited from it recently, most recently, are those who are fighting against it. It's hypocrisy. And that is the problem in Nigeria. When it suits me, it should be, a principle should be implemented. When it doesn't suit me, it should not be implemented. It is when it is another person's turn that we turn around and begin to sermonize, begin to preach big principles of democracy, begin to talk about just opening up the space for the best. Why didn't we preach like this 5, 6 years ago? People are just being hypocritical. But the reality is, let's continue this simple practice until we no longer want to exist as one Nigeria. But as long as we want to exist as one Nigeria, this principle has come to stay and it should be respected. Otherwise, you wake up every day and find one section overloading another section and insisting that that section is the most qualified or the only qualified section to bring up leaders. And that is wrong.
Okay, let us hear from Mr. Gwangwazo. Mr. Gwangwazo.
Hello, Austin.
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased that being invited to this event today. I was able to join yesterday because the timing was not appropriate for me. And I've heard, fortunately, I've been following my my partner, not sparring partner, I hope, speaking. I am, first of all, we need to have an understanding of the terms that you put forward. Rotational presidency, you said, right? Is it rotational? What was it? Nigeria2023, rotational presidency and the future of Nigeria's democracy. In my view, first of all, we have to understand that we are talking of Nigeria, and that God in his infinite wisdom designed the way he designed it, such that we have a majority of similar types in terms of acculturation generally on one half, and a majority of similar types at the other end. All right. Because of that, since the beginning of the experimentation about leadership, whether in a democracy or in a military government, we've always had this idea that has been the practice in leadership at the level, at the center mainly, of a president or head of state coming from one half of the nation and his deputy coming from the other half. Not until the 1995 or 90 whatever constitution review, when General Abacha was president, head of state, when his vice president, General Dia, Abacha from the north, Dia from the south, his vice, until that time when they did a constitutional conference then. And at that conference, because of the desires of politicians, we were saddled with a new concept again, apart from just the north and the south. A new creation was superimposed on that easy to relate with system, and we now had 3 zones in the southern half, 3 zones in the northern half, and because of that, now we go to the next item, the issue of rotational presidency. What we have had before then was presidency in such a manner as reflects the diversity, and the diversity was broadly clear: the south and the north, Muslims and non-Muslims, Christians principally. A preponderant majority are in the south, Christians. A preponderant majority of Muslims are in the north, neat arrangement, accepted, universally accepted from the beginning of the First Republic. And now, then when we had these 6 new zones, if you're talking of that neat arrangement, new voices came about. Now, leadership or anything would have to be this zone or that zone. And this is on another structure agreed to of states from the 3 regions of the First Republic, which became 4 regions, and then which became 12 states, 6 here, 6 there, to 19 to what, 30, 36? We have 36 now, and the federal capital, which, unlike the previous system of the federal capital being in Lagos, a state, and the federal capital in the south, in the western region, now it is at the center of the nation. It's not even a state, it's simply the seat of power. And it has an administration that is run by the central government, even if you have other efforts to do elections and senators and reps and local government chairman and councillors. So my understanding of this thing now is that those talking about like my friend, what's his name, Mark Jacobs of SaMBA, Southern and Middle Belt Alliance, like he argued at the opening of his statements. He said rotation is a constitutional matter. I don't think it's a constitutional matter. What is the constitutional matter is that it is accepted that whatever you have in terms of these positions, president and vice, governor and deputy, and whatever you're going to do, you reflect federal character, you reflect, because of that, automatically reflect the South and the North, principally. If you are talking of a democracy, you are talking of political parties. You're not talking of someone who does not belong to a political party, who has not established a political party himself, who has decided not to join a political party, deciding and arguing that, look, what we must have the president from this zone or from that zone. You want to have a president that you would rotate to whatever you want to rotate, set up a political party. Entrench it in the political party rules, that this political party is for all those who believe we should have rotation, zoning, and another person who wants to can set up a political party that says this political party is only for those from my zone. If you want to be president, you want to be anything else but president, you can be in this party, but president must come from my zone. At the moment, the Constitution doesn't even allow it. I mean, even if it doesn't allow it, you can set it up and do your creative literature and send it. If INEC approves, then you go ahead. If somebody doesn't accept it, you can go to court and fight it out. In a democracy, the democracy that I learned from the civics class in secondary school, 1972, 73, Form 1. I think they did just after the Civil War, I think. And the political science I studied as government at CAS, at A levels, and the political science I studied at university, and the politics I've been practicing since 1978, when democracy came back during the Second Republic. Democracy is about numbers. It's about what Laswell says, who gets what, when, where, and how. And these things determine the texture of the choices you make as a person. You choose a political party that is ready to accept your decision that you want to have rotation or you want to have zoning. I have nothing against people wanting to have president go to their zone or to their region or to the half of Nigeria, but it has to be within the rules, in my view. I have nothing against it. The MPN started all this thing about zoning, about rotation, rather, not zoning, rotation. It started it when it came in because it was an agglomeration of interests of leading elites of various states, neatly divided into the 3 regions. That was the hangover of the First Republic. And it was a success story, more or less, because by the end of the first term of the MPN, when they tried to change the rotation so that they had written into their constitution, key actors within the party, the MPN, said they are not happy with it. And some of them broke away from the party. People principally around General Eradua, who was the vice president to Obasanjo in the military regime, who was the son of a First Republic minister from the north, decided to drag a significant chunk of members of the MPN from the north and create an alliance with the UPN, Awolowo's UPN. And they were so they made such a forceful statement that the MPN was destabilized, and that probably led to the after the what did they call it, the landslide victory. Then they had the gunslide that brought in General Buhari then, because it was the agreement of that political party that they were going to do rotation, but they said, okay, it's not yet time. Shagari has to have 2 terms, and then after 2 terms, whoever wants it from the south can come for it. Others were not of the same opinion. They felt 1 term was enough, and they should now take over, and they couldn't. And Awolo, a great man from UPN, in his time, did not even have this rotation thing. He was the president, he was the chairman of the party, and he picked, who was it? Was it Philip Umedi or something from the east to become his running mate? There was no one in the north. It was only during the 2nd term, when that issue of the MPN not agreeing to rotation came about, he went and chose Makama here in Kano, and the federal government and the NECON, the election, the FIDECO, the election commission, recognized the owner of the party, Mala Aminu Kano, and those around him, and decided on within the rules, allowing the PRP to remain where it was with him. And so we tried, under the leadership of Rimi, to, as part of the progressive movement, the PPA, the progressive governors, to establish a party, and it wasn't establishable at that time. We ended up having our government in Kano, Rimi government, moving into MPP. And MPP
thank you, Mr. Gwangwazo. Mr. Gwangwazo, we thank you very much for giving us this historical background. Before we allow Mr. Jacobs to respond to you, let me ask this question. Your position basically is that rotational or zoning the presidency is not a constitutional matter, that it is a party matter. Now, if that was, but would you think it is desirable, even if it is not in the constitution, for political leaders of all the parties, the leaders of Nigeria, to say, for the sake of equity and fairness, let us allow only people from this particular zone to contest and produce the presidency at this particular time?
If you want that, why don't you ask for a return of the colonialists, or ask for a return of Abdul Salami, or Abacha, or who was it before him? Or Babangida, or keep on moving back in history. Even in the military, the way things work, even in the military, the way am I offline? Am I offline?
Oh, we can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. I'm saying if you are doing democracy, which is about numbers, allow the political party. It's about free choices. Allow the political party to take a decision. There is no other reason why we would universally, the whole of Nigeria, when in Nigeria we had a time that I was in Kano in 1983. From Kano, the core north, I voted not for Shagari, I voted for Zik, because I believed he was a better candidate in my view. He came with a party that satisfied what I believed was right. And in reality, we won the election. But it was strangulated, and the MPN realized if it gave the MPN candidate, it could end up allowing the PRP to unite, and they will not have peace.
Mr. Gwangwazo, let me interject here.
So in 1999, yes, I'm listening.
Now, are you saying that if rotational presidency is introduced, it's going to take our democracy years back rather than progress our democracy? Is that what you're saying?
Certainly. It is.
Right.
It is a weird idea. MQ Abiola won. He won hands down. He defeated our brother, whom we know, because he was able to reach out. Like right now, in APC, for instance, whoever is able to network, whether from the north or from the south or from the east, and is able to get people within his party to appreciate that people in the states that the parties are, the chapters of the party, whatever levels of the party, are willing to accept him, and he presents himself, and the party presents him, wherever he comes from, whether he comes from Plateau, from Benue, from Bama, from Kebi, from Ekiti, from Enugu, from wherever. And he goes to the polls and the people vote for him. I will respect and accept him as my president. But
all right. Thank you so much, Mr. Gwangwazo. So remember that you can join this conversation. Mr.
In 1998, I was in APP.
Mr. Gwangwazo.
Yes, I'm listening.
Thank you so much. Remember that you can join this. Remember that you can join this conversation simply by raising up your digital hand. We'll try to take as much questions and comments as possible. Let us allow the second guest to respond to what you have been saying, and then we'll take questions from the participants. Mr. Jacobs, are you there?
I'm here. Let me just say quickly that the first thing is that it is the so-called geopolitical zones that are not constitutional that my Oga Kabiru is running quickly to recognize, because they are not in the constitution. They are not at all mentioned in the constitution. There is no reference to geopolitical zones in any of our books. So they are just an adoption, and unfortunately, everybody, including the Federal Ministry of Finance, including the presidency and everywhere, keep referring to these geopolitical zones. They are not in the constitution, yet they are being respected. So what I'm saying, there are things that have been developed. If they are good, just like the geopolitical zones that have been adopted, they are not in the constitution, but they are being utilized because of the good that flows from that. I think in the same vein, we must respect the very clear provisions of our constitution that talks about equity, that talks about carrying everybody along, making everybody to feel welcome in this country called Nigeria, making every section of this country to know that they belong and that they can be president. Forget about this pseudo or very wild definitions of democracy. Nigeria is still developing. And in developing, since we still insist that we should remain one indivisible nation, we must manage our differences very carefully. And in managing our differences carefully, we must make everybody to feel welcome, to feel comfortable in the country. And so, deliberately, political parties have over the years, I was in MPP, sir. I was also in PRP. I voted, and I was an agent of MPP. So now, having done that, over the years, I have known up to zero party, up to option A6 and A4 period, up to the DPN and all these other parties, SDP and what of them. All of them have always tried to see how they can make this presidency to belong to one side. If the president is coming from the north, the vice should come from the south. If today we wake up and say we want to jettison that practice, we're indirectly saying that we are no longer interested in building a united Nigeria. A Nigeria that my children from the south, my cousins from the north will feel comfortable to belong to, because we deliberately make provision for power to go from left to right. It doesn't take away anything. But because some people are in office today, they don't want that discussion. And I say that is not fair to the whole country. We must continue to exhibit capacity to accommodate each other, exhibit capacity to say, look, yes, I can do this thing, but let me leave it for somebody else. That is the underlying spirit in the Nigerian constitution, which says that we must respect each other. We must relate on the basis of equality. We must relate on the basis of fairness, where, yes, if we want to talk about this population thing we keep talking about, you can say, yes, we have the numbers. Like somebody said some months ago, that we have the numbers. We can have our way. That is not statesmanship. That is not the way we build a country that will be loved by everybody, where everybody will have a sense of belonging. And I believe that majority of the people, not the elite who are sharing the power in the north, because majority of the people, the poor, who are dying in their hundreds in the north, particularly the core north, they are not feeling the joy, they are not benefiting from this power tussle. They are concerned, as I speak to you today, is how they can wake up, go to their farms peacefully, come back, keep their families, go to mosque, pray, wake up. Today, people are not should be our concern. Our concern, our struggle to retain presidency, particularly in the north, is not in their interest, because they would like to have somebody who will come in and say, look, I'm going to stop this nonsense. And so the issues, like I said, are not all about it is not in the constitution. It is in the constitution. Once you talk of federal character, and you even have a federal character commission, the underlying spirit of the federal character principle is that power should be shared, offices should be shared equitably. No power or no offices should be lumped in one section of the country. So it's constitutional. And we should, in the interest of building and sustaining one nation, ensure, for the sake of building and sustaining an indivisible one nation, that is the only way we can go about it. Not to say, we have the numbers. If you don't want, you go and form your country, which is what some people have said. And it is wrong, because this country can only survive through give and take. You don't show or use anything you have in your advantage today against everybody, and then expect that everybody will follow you. People are supposed to follow willingly and with joy, with laughter. But the moment it becomes coercive, you will have agitations. And I can say without any doubt that that is why we have agitations all over the country today.
All right,
because
thank you.
people are not being listened to.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jacobs. I can see Ms. Ankyo Briggs. Ms. Briggs, your hand is up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Oh, okay, thank you very much. Good evening. The issue of zoning in Nigeria today is a burning issue. In 2010, leading up to the unexpected or sad death of the then President Yaradua, I remember very well that the discussion at that point, the reason why sometimes when Yaradua traveled, even when he was said to not, that he can run the country from wherever he is, even from his sick bed, it was about the fact that it's the turn at that time of the North when Jonathan was the vice president. So now, today, we're hearing when the southern governors of the 17 southern states got up and said, when it was clear that the so-called body language everybody looks for is beginning to seem as if the presidential power is not going to rotate back to the South. And so this is the discussion now. Now, this presidential position going to the South is not a favor. Nobody should see it as a favor that is being done to the South. It is a right that the North, in the person of Buhari, has governed from 2015. And so whether the North likes it or not, this argument of the fact that they have the number, meaning therefore that without the number favoring one side, you can't have democracy in Nigeria. That is the message that I am getting, that is coming across to us in the South, that the North is assuming that they have the number. First of all, I disagree that there is such a number because we've not had a census for 2 decades now. So we can't actually believe that the North is more. That's one. Two, if like Jacob said, if like we have a situation where we have federal character, and federal character is about equity and justice, then you must accept that the presidency should rotate to the South at this time. Now, I'm not disagreeing that politicians have to agree amongst themselves whom they will present. So, i.e., is a political party decision. But they should also not forget that if things are done properly, it is the final say is with the electorate, because if the electorate does not come out to vote, they are not going to have any voters. So this argument that the South must come to the North to look for the blessing of the North, one, before the presidency can be zoned, is wrong. We're not begging, the South is not begging. It is the turn of the South to produce the president of Nigeria, full stop. That is what democracy is about. Democracy, to say that democracy is about numbers is, in my opinion, is untrue and is arrogant for anybody to say that they have the number and therefore they can decide where they are going to take this country. Anybody can decide where they're going to take this country, because you can't threaten anybody who wants to leave this country not to say that they want to leave this country. We are in a democracy. If we're in a democracy, then people must be seen to be part of this country, full and total. That is to say that nobody should give the impression that they are bigger or that they are better than the other person. So what I want to contribute here, therefore, is to now say to the North that whatever representation in whatever political party that the Northerners are with other Nigerians, that first and foremost, they are not better than any other ethnic nationality in Nigeria. They are not better than any other zone or any other state. Because look, if we say that the South should accept or begin to beg or begin to prove that they have people who are capable of governing this country, can anybody really tell me truthfully that the crop of people governing Nigeria today, that these are the best people that Nigeria have to offer ourselves today in Nigeria? No, you're talking about removing subsidy. Then you're going to remove subsidy. You come on television, you tell Nigerians that, oh, you have decided you're going to pay 40 million people 5,000 naira within up to 6 months or 9 months or 12 months. You have not even made up your mind how many persons you're going to pay, how you're going to pay them. How did you come about that? So basically, this country is being run by a cabal. And we all must come together. Look, if we want to be one country, fine. The question is how? How are we going to be one country? And if there are people who say that they are fed up and the way things are going in Nigeria, that they don't think that they are part of this country anymore, these people must be allowed to say so. You know, it's really unacceptable for us to be following this argument as if we are begging to for the North to allow a Southerner to be president. I don't blame them, because you have Northern Southerners running to the North, seeking blessings of who will anoint who to become the president. You have Tinubu fighting, you have Amechi talking, you have this one, you have that one. And then you have Southerners who are even prepared to take the position of vice president. So therefore, what this argument is about is that we're saying that it is okay for another Fulani person to emerge on any political party and contest for the presidency of Nigeria on the basis of what? On the basis of, say, they are the best, or on the basis of, say, they have the number. What is this discussion based upon? What I'm hearing is we have the number. Democracy is about number. Democracy actually is not about number. Democracy is about justice and equity and fairness. It is not about number at all. If it is about number, I mean, then let everybody go their way and use their number the way that they want to use their number. I am cautioning that any insistence, like they have also cautioned, any insistence that it must go back to the North, or that if the South does not bow to the discussion that the North has to approve which Southerner is going to be the president of Nigeria. It's not democratic at all in any way, shape, or form. That's my my position on it. That's my take. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let us listen to Mr. Gwangwazo. So, Mr. Gwangwazo, please, we're almost out of time. So try to keep your submissions as brief as possible.
Somebody is raising his hand.
Okay, who is? Am I on or somebody? Am I on or somebody is on?
Mr. Gwangwazo. Mr. Gwangwazo, right. Is you I'm asking. You heard what she said, so please respond.
In the first place, just like she said, I also believe it is insensitive and presumptuous and arrogant for anybody to say, I will decide who will be president because I happen to come from so-so region. from social zone, from the north or the south. It is presumptuous. It defeats the whole purpose of democracy and the agreements we have made by agreeing to cede our rights to whoever runs the show for us on our behalf at any time. I am not with those who would say it is the North that would decide who will be president, even if it's in the South, or the North will have the president, or the South must have the president, or it must rotate to the North, or it must rotate to the Southeast, or to the South-South, or to the North Central, or to the Northeast, or North. Mandate has he got on the political scene, acts on behalf of people who decide to register with INEC and decide to register to vote. In the interim, before the vote, you have, because I've seen my phone freezing. Am I on?
Yeah. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Please go ahead. Please go ahead. Your line is breaking, but we can hear you.
Okay. Maybe I need to change the position I am at. Okay. So as I was saying, for anybody to insist that he is the North or he is the South, and that he will decide for the North or the South, he is assuming things that he has no control over. One who doesn't have control over the fact that he will be alive in the next 1 minute, or he'll be alive tomorrow, or he'll be part, or he'll be active enough to even participate when the time comes, or he will even have his hands on the levers of the political parties that will decide. In my view, all this noise is noise we hear from elite, people who refuse to have a relationship with their own constituents, direct relationship. Some of us, I am a local politician. I'm a national officer of a national political party, the PRP, but I consider myself a local boy, a local young man with gray hair in my beard.
Young man.
But that
young kid.
I relate with my constituency, with my constituents. If the people in my constituency take a decision that for them, the candidate who is best for them is a candidate who comes from the North, I will, in my party, support a candidate from the North. If the generality of my party does not share that same view with my constituency or with those that I believe in, the decision carries the day. And then on election day, it is those who choose candidates in their parties who now match those candidates to spar with candidates in other parties, whether from the North, the South, the East, or wherever, or even from the moon, if it is a possibility. Therefore, we should cast our minds, we should set our minds to the reality of what exists today, what existed in the days that, for instance, Madame Briggs spoke about when Mana Eradua was president, and that he was not well, he was on his sick bed, and that it was said he can run.
Mr. Gwangwazo, I'll ask you to kindly conclude. Mr. Gwangwazo.
Points, but what they did was people from the very North fought against that and insisted on allowing a vice president to take over, and Johnson took over. It is not because Umaru and the North believed, in my view, because I was not in PDP. I was never in PDP, but but the North does not own the president when he becomes president. The South does not own the president when he becomes president. The nation owns the president until such a time that we decide to go a separate ways. Or
Mr. Gwangwazo.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Let us please kindly conclude.
Okay. Okay. So as in my view, it is democracy. It is the votes that determine where a president comes from. That is what, and in political parties, that's what happens. In APP in 1998, when candidates presented themselves for elections in the political party, in the APP, we in the APP from Kano and from all over Nigeria decided on choosing Saraki, who is Yoruba, from the North.
The North.
Candidate. But who thought they decide for Nigeria, having this kind of.
I think we lost Mr. Gwangwazo.
You lost me? Or you want me to close?
We're hearing him.
Okay.
Line is breaking up badly. Your line is breaking up, so we really can't get what you're saying. Can you hear me?
Let me try to change positions. Let me shift positions. Let me shift positions.
Okay. So try to reposition, and while we're doing that, let us go to Mr. Mark
Augusta,
Jacobs.
please. Augusta, please. While we allow.
Okay, I will change positions
to settle down.
Let us. I'm settled. I'm trying
Mr. Mohammed,
to get us.
Mr. Mohammed.
Yes. Yes.
Let's allow you to.
Am I clearer
let's
now?
allow you to settle down.
Am I clearer now? Am I clearer?
Mr. Mohammed.
Am I clearer? Yes.
Mr. Mohammed.
Am I clear? Yes.
Let's allow you to settle down a bit, please, so before you come back, so that we'll quickly round up the conversation. Let's quickly take a question of comment from Dr. Abdul. And after that, please, I would like the guests to address the question of how do you assess the mood of the political parties today? What is their thinking with regards to zoning the presidency to the South? But before that, let's listen from Dr. Abdul, who has been raising up his hand for some time, and then we come back to the guests. Is Dr. Abdul still there?
I think he has.
I don't think he's here.
He has gone out. I think he was.
Okay. I'm available. I'm available if you have me.
Okay, if Dr. Abdul is there, Mark Jacob, please, what do you think is the body language? What feelers are we getting from the political parties, APC and PDP? What is their thinking with regards to zoning the presidency to the South?
Well, thank you very much for the last bite. The feelers are very clear that the political parties are attentive. They want to hear what Nigerians are saying. And just like Chief Alhaji Kabiru said, the reality is that society determines what the political parties do. And I mean, any serious political party that wants to win election, and any serious political party that wants to build a nation should listen to the vibrations around the country and take decisions based on that. So I can tell you for free that PDP, for instance, is assessing public opinion to find out what are Nigerians saying. The Southern governors have taken a decision and they have not hidden it. They did a press conference that said the next president, the next decade of the PDP, as far as they are concerned, in fact, not just PDP, but all political parties, that the next presidential seat should be zoned to the South. The Southern governors, all of them across party lines, have taken that decision and they have sold it to Nigerians. I agree entirely that the decisions finally will be the decisions by politicians and political parties. But we must continue to speak up so that the opinion of Nigerians is heard by the political parties so that they know what the temper is, how it is, what people think, because they want to win election. They are not doing posters just to participate. All of them want to win election. And if they see that the overwhelming opinion is that a Southern president, or this is the time for a Southern president, those decisions will be taken. And the better for the country. I am more concerned about how we can present a one Nigeria. If we are interested in a one Nigeria, which many people, particularly in the North, keep singing about, that the unity of Nigeria is indivisible, is non-negotiable. If you say so, there are basic small things you must do, basic principles of equity and camaraderie. Not this one that people will just tell you, we are not interested in what you are discussing, you are making noise. No. Noise can change to clamor. Clamor can change to agitation. Agitation can change from agitation to something else. And God forbid, if by 2023 we get there, we can avoid, sorry, we can avoid all that by simply saying, look, Southerners, go and give us a good material. There will be a Nigerian president. There will be a Nigerian president for the South. There will be a president for the North. There will be a president for the poor and the rich. If we get a candidate like that in any political party, that political party should get our support. And I believe that the Southern and Middle Belt Alliance should begin and should take up this agitation stronger, because the political parties are going around. They are making their research to find out what is the feeling, what is the thinking of the Nigerian populace. And so the earlier we hit the road, the better. Thank you so much.
Okay, let me quickly.
All right, let us hear from Mr. Gwangwazo. Mr. Gwangwazo.
Yes. I heard my brother Jacobs speaking, in my view, appropriately to the topic on the mood of the political parties, moving to what is the reality. Political parties are in the business of getting into government, taking over governments, winning elections. And to win elections, you have to listen to the electorate. When you don't listen to the electorate is when you assume they don't matter. When you believe there are things you can use that are not the votes. And in that case, it doesn't even matter where from a candidate comes. So in my view, we should, all of us who are—
But Mr. Gwangwazo, let me quickly interject here. You are the leader of a national party. What's the name of your party for the benefit of our listeners?
People's Redemption Party, PRP.
Our party before.
People's Redemption Party.
All right. So is the PRP thinking of zoning the presidency, or they wish to pick their president from any part of the country?
The PRP is a political party that has progressive nationalist history behind it. The PRP is an offshoot of the NEPU. The NEPU had never at any time allied with a party because it was in government. It had always allied with a party because it shared ideas with it, it beliefs. The NEPU was in alliance with the NCNC in the First Republic. The PRP.
Yes, but my direct question is: are they thinking of zoning the presidency to any part of the country, or they are ready to pick from any part of the country?
That is the problem. That's the problem with all of you elite, Nigerian elite. You are looking at this thing as turn by turn. You are looking at things other than what politics is about, what governance is about. Governance is about
Mr. Gwangwazo, is PRP looking to zone the presidency to any part of the country, or they are ready to pick from any part of the country?
We don't have zoning. MPN had zoning. PDP probably has zoning. APC may have probably discussed between the candidates, between Buhari and his people. We are his people then, and probably.
So PRP is not zoning the presidency.
I am not PRP. I am a member, a leader of the PRP. I'm not PRP. PRP is, we are Democrats. We are progressive Democrats. Anyone who comes into PRP, who wants to buy for anything can be anything. I, by the grace of God, brought back PRP to life in Kano along with one lady, a powerful lady, the vice chairperson of the PRP in the Northwest, a lawyer, a member of the National Institute, a member of Federal, an MFR from Kano, whose father was an associate.
All right. So I think Mr. Gwangwazo, we have gotten your answer now.
No, give me a minute. Give me a minute to answer this properly, please. And despite all that, we brought in the party. I contested for governor in the party in 2019. I was somebody else who came in at the tail end of nominations, was elected, was nominated by the party. And I wasn't interested in being a running mate, but I was asked to come and be a running mate, and I was his running mate. And I'm still in the party, and he has left the party and gone to another party. And if tomorrow, I am still in PRP, we are doing mechanic work on it to ensure it is smooth enough for the ride in 2023. If anybody should come into PRP from wherever he is in Kano, and he wants to be governor, if it happens, I'm interested in trying. We will try. If I'm not interested, I will support him or support whoever other person. And if anybody comes and wants to be president, or if I want to be president in the PRP, and I join the fray, and anybody else joins, and I find he's a better person, whether it's from Kano, the north, or from Enugu, or from Oyo, or Ekiti, or Lagos, or Plateau, I will support him as a person, and I will canvass for him. And if the party gives him, I will support him. If it doesn't give him, I'll support whoever it agrees is the candidate. And that's what politics is about. The difference between us and other parties is this.
All right, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess at this juncture that you give us your concluding comments on the topic.
Oh, all right. As stated from the very beginning, my position is that certainly a president cannot come from the north and a vice president from the north too. You understand? A president cannot come from the south and a vice president from the south, just like UPN did in the First Republic, in the Second Republic. The reality is that if a president comes from the north, the vice comes from the south. If he comes from the south, the vice comes from the north in each of the political parties. And I am vehemently against any effort by anybody to strangulate the free will of people in political parties by saying, we agree. You people who are saying even the Constitution is not we the people, it was somebody's contraption. Now you are saying, who will be the you who will now say, we have decided the president is coming from the north, if you are a northerner, or we have decided it's coming from the south, or we have decided from the south it will come from Yoruba land, or from Igbo land, or from south, or from the various tribes in that area. I am vehemently against that kind of thought, specifically because we had that kind of trouble in 1998, built up to the 1999 elections, when APP, we decided we wanted to choose Saraki, the father of the Saraki who was Senate president, who would make an excellent presidential material because he appears like the kind of person who is more Nigerian than most Nigerians, because he is from the zone that is seen as Yoruba, and that is in the north. He is a Muslim, which is a religion that a great majority of northerners relate are, and then a great majority of Yoruba land are, and he is married, I believe, to a Christian. And not that I am campaigning for him because I'm not in his party, and he has not told me he's coming into PRP. I don't even know him enough. I don't even know him actually. I don't know him. I've not met him. I've only seen him from a distance at a public event. And yet, I would not, even if I am in a position to now say so, I would not agree that you just zone it to so person or to so zone. Anyone who wants to be president should go and work within his political party and work with the constituencies across Nigeria and do what Abiola did and make sure he doesn't make the mistake that Abiola was forced to do, that caused all the commotion that led to June 12th. He must not make the mistake that Obasanjo did when the majority of Nigeria, the Nigerian elite, decided to vote for him. The North voted for him because they thought the West was with him.
All right, thank you.
The West didn't vote for him. But after winning, he went and became a Westerner. And now, the good thing though is that Obasanjo is truly a Nigerian. He was an effective president. And the same mistake that our president, Buhari, is making now. He was voted not because he is from the North. He was voted because the whole of Nigeria, the political machines across Nigeria were willing to vote for him, principally the West and the North, and pockets of the Southeast and pockets of the South. Yet, despite that, he has constitutionally given every section its due representation in his government, and has concentrated projects in particular in the South, has concentrated attention and allowed governance, the focus, the resources of governance to go to the South more than the North. He has in the North, because of certain actions of those around him who are not politicians, unfortunately, who are not with him all the years he was in politics from 2002, when we were with him, up to the time we went into PRP. He chose to choose only principally those who are either his personal aides or his relatives or those from people who are related to some of his relatives, and give them prominence in the government. And that,
Mr. Gwangwazo,
and that has been used unfairly against the North. That this president is a Northern president and nepotistic, and he is not nepotistic, in my view. He has given everybody the chance.
Mr. Gwangwazo.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll have to ask you to please conclude in less than a minute. We've completely exhausted our time, so you have to conclude now.
In conclusion, I agree. We can have a president from the South if a political party, maybe the APC, had an agreement that they entered into, written or unwritten, and that they are going to hand over after Buhari to the South, then it's only honorable and gentlemanly that they do so. If they have no such agreement, then it is ungentlemanly for any section to now be holding the nation over a barrel, that we must have it because it is only fair to rotate.
Thank you so much.
They rather do what Buhari did when he could not get.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gwangwazo. Thank you so much. Let us go to Mr. Jacobs. Mr. Jacobs.
Thank you.
Mr. Jacobs, are you there? Just
yes.
Before I let you give your concluding remarks, let me just ask you just one more question before you give your concluding remarks. How can citizens influence political parties to adopt this rotational presidency?
The political parties already have rotation in their constitutions and in their dealings. All the political parties, maybe PRP exempted, but I have been in touch with the PDP. I know what the APC stood for. I know what ABGA, even in the states, they insist on zoning. So zoning is not alien, neither is it a new baby that we need to persuade anybody about. Zoning is there in all the political parties. What citizens need to do is to keep reminding the political parties that whatever decisions they take will determine where the votes go to in the next election. And we should go out and sensitize Nigerians that this is the turn of the South, irrespective of what anybody is saying, because Nigerians are also very reasonable people. The generality of Nigerians believe in equity, believe in fair play. And the argument is founded on solid rock, that having held power for 8 solid years, it is not just unconventional, it is completely out of mischief for anybody to say that power should remain in the North. I don't see the justification. I don't see any justification for that claim. And I know even the people talking about it know deep inside them that before today, they knew that come 2023, power will shift to the South. And there is no gainsaying about it. It's a very clear thing. And the serious agitations and problems we have in the country, for me, are the main reason why I would say, look, let us shift power to the South and give opportunity to a fresh hand, somebody that will look at these issues purely on a professional basis, professional in the sense that he's a Nigerian president, and approach all the issues from the standpoint of building a nation, not a position of building his friends, like Malam Kabiru said. Somebody is president, but everybody around him is either his relation or his relation's relation. That is not the Nigeria that my children want.
Mr. Jacobs,
we must say it very clearly.
Mr. Jacobs.
Yes. Yeah.
Forgive me, I'll have to interject here. Before I let you go on with your concluding remarks, let us call Austin. Austin, your hand is up.
Okay.
When he finished his submission, we can allow your concluding remarks. Thank you. Austin.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Some of the comments on here, I just want to be straight. It's quite really laughable. Okay. Nepotism is one of the worst form of corruption. And what Buhari carries in this administration is nothing but nepotism from A to Z. And unfortunately, Mr. Kwankwaso is aware of that. If someone from another part of the country who works under Buhari is sacked tomorrow morning, you can predict the next person that will be replaced with. And that will happen as quickly as possible before 6 p.m.
It's not true. It's not true.
Can I finish, please? When you were talking, nobody interrupted you.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So now, what leads to agitation is nepotism, injustice, and things such as, as this. Okay. In the North, if you use, he said, he mentioned that Buhari distributed appointment based on federal character, based on the federal character policy, and even resources. But can he point out the most important ministerial appointment in the North, in Nigeria today? They're all from the North and from a particular religion. We all know this. So you cannot, during Jonathan said that, zoning. And then when it comes to your turn, when you're about to finish your own piece of the cake, you're not saying that, no, It is not all about zoning. It's about numbers. So a particular section of the country, based on their numbers, we can see that they want to opt out of the union. So why not allow them go? You can't use convenience to drive home your point. Okay. Now I do not agree with Mr. Konkoso that he is a progressive member of the, I can't remember the name of the party, but the way I see him, the way he speaks, is more of a Buhari's. Is more of a Buhari's. I mean, there's what they call stabilizing a country. And it's very, very important. If you call the bluff of everyone within a country, you have a minimal period of time that you can use force to keep the peace. So, to me, okay. Mr. Alhaji Konkoso, he is not sincere with his submission. With all due respect, he's not sincere with his submission, because the truth is, Buhari and his regime does not represent federal character, and Alhaji Konkoso is fully aware of that. It doesn't reflect federal character, okay? And there are conventional and unconventional ways of keeping the unity of a country. And as a politician, I'm not a politician, but I expect Alhaji Konkoso to know that, okay? During Jonathan, we saw what happened, okay? The North came together and said, it is their time. And they got it through Buhari. Now, the North is saying it is about number. Now, you cannot speak from two sides of the mouth. You cannot say 2 years ago, and then this year you are saying Z. It doesn't work that way. Okay, it doesn't work that way. If there is equity and justice, there won't be any agitation within the country. If there's equity and justice, nobody will think about, oh, my person has to become president over another person from another zone. You won't even recognize anything like zoning or anything like geographical divide.
Austin.
Yes.
Please, you have to conclude.
Okay. In nutshell, one of the major problems in Nigeria when it comes to politics is injustice. And that has to be addressed. And unfortunately, I must say this, majority of this is being perpetrated by the North.
Thank you. Let us allow Madam Gwangwazo to respond. Please, you have a minute and I'll cut you after a minute. So try to keep your submission as concise as possible. Mr. Gwangwazo, are you there?
Okay, I have muted. I don't have anything to say other than what I've said, that nobody can justifiably, fairly, legally speak for the North or for the South or for whoever in a decision that says every political party, with no exception, must field a candidate from so-so area. The only thing anybody can do that is I would think his rights and capacity legally is to go into a political party and to work within that political party to either institutionalize this, rotate positions after terms, or keep them open for whoever. At the same time, this is one aspect. The second aspect is I have no beef with zoning, as it were, in the sense that a president comes from the north and a vice from the south. A president comes from the south and his vice from the north. And that is a settled constitutional thing and a settled practice in Nigeria. What I cannot agree to is what injustice was meted to Nigerians in 1998, when political parties were forced into inconvenient marriages. PDP was forced to force every other candidate but Obasanjo. And APP was forced, a candidate was forced on APP and he was removed, this ONU, and Falae was grafted from AD, and someone from APP, Shenkapi, was grafted onto it, and it was said, now this is Falae, AD and APP, and Obasanjo, PDP. That is insane. It's not 21st century. It is not education. It is not reasonable. People should not be blinded by selfish interests. I'm not blinded by having Buhari coming from the north, a Buhari I know. To the extent that I won't accept, I may not be the one to point at his fault, at his failings, at his faults, but I will not deny if faults are pointed out. You understand?
Thank you so much, sir.
And
thank you so much. Let us go back to Mr. Jacobs to give his concluding remarks, and we would round up. Mr. Jacobs.
Well, thank you very much again. Maybe we should just say that the country is rife for real agitation and pressurizing to actualize what has been established in all the political parties, that power rotates. It's not a new thing, and I repeat, it's not new. The political parties have been practicing rotation over and over, particularly APC and PDP. So as it is, 2023 political parties to take the decisions that we want. And this is doable. And we should go about it peacefully. It takes a lot of negotiation. It takes a lot of legwork. It takes a lot. We need to link up with people. We need to reach out to people in the political parties so that the right decision is taken. And I'm sure discussions like this should continue so that we get the decisions that we want. Nobody can take away the fact that the North, having held power for 8 years, has no justifiable reason to insist that power should remain in the North. There is no justification for it, especially if we insist that this country should remain one. If we want a one Nigeria to continue and persist, the foundational things we need to do include the sustainability of the principle of power shift. That is one of the very of a one Nigeria. Once you jettison that principle, you have killed the soul of Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that's as much as we can take on today's. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So that's as much as we can take on today's program.